Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. My name is Chris, and I am once again excited to be welcoming some of the impending talent that will be gracing Bristol's Metal to the Masses very soon. Today, I'm joined by Excursia from South Wales. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Really means a lot. And
No
would
worries
you
at all.
both also would you like to introduce yourselves and your roles in the band?
Uh,
Sure. So, do you want to go first, actually?
yeah, sure.
I was gonna
I
say.
mean, you can't see me, but I'm Aiden and I do vocals and guitar. So I suppose it's kind of fitting that you can only hear my voice because that's how it would go if it was music anyway. So,
It's true. And I'm Sam, and I just do the guitar, backing vocals, stuff like that. Nothing major.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thanks again for coming onto the channel. Welcome to
Thanks.
Crushing Sounds. So, as much as I hate to start an interview in this manner, I suppose we should all acknowledge the elephant in the room. An hour before this interview went live, we learned that the easing of lockdowns, which were to allow events such as Metal to the Masses to resume, have been delayed until middle of July. In what capacity this will affect Metal to the Masses has yet to be announced. It's likely it will affect it in some fashion. I would still love to talk to you guys about the show, as it is a great thing for you guys to be part of and an amazing event that Bloodstock put on, as well as Bloodstock being the best festival in the country. So it's worth celebrating, worth talking about. I'm sure you guys would agree. So I suppose I will start by asking, because most bands I have spoken to or will be speaking to ahead of the event this year are from Bristol or its immediate surrounding area. So how does a band from South Wales find themselves in the midst of the Bristol metal scene? I know it's not a million miles away, but you guys have played the Cardiff tournament before, unless I'm mistaken.
no, yeah, you'd be right. That's true.
We played Cardiff like what, twice?
Yeah, I think
Maybe
twice.
twice. And Cardiff is like it's our immediate venue place to go to. We really do like Fuel in Cardiff. It's all really good and stuff like that. It's a great venue, great atmosphere, great everything. But I think Bristol was just like we decided to put Bristol because of
Well,
the
it's a different angle, really, isn't it?
different angle, and
Different
it's
crowd.
we don't haven't played Bristol that many times. We played the Griffin, and we
Yeah.
played
I think we've only played the Griffin,
yeah,
I
I
think.
think it's just the Griffin.
Oh, no,
Actually.
no, 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 tell a lie. We played the Fleece a couple times.
Oh yeah, you're right, the Fleece. So yeah, it's just like wanting to get out there, do some more gigs in Bristol.
Yeah, it's a great place to do it. My band have played the Griffin, and God, I've lost count how many times we played that place. We've done
It's a great venue.
Fantastic venue. Louisiana, we've done a couple of times as well. We've not done the Fleece yet, which I know is the other big metal venue there. So one day we might get there. But yeah, that's awesome. So how have you found gigs in Bristol? What's it like? Is it different to Cardiff, different vibe, or is metal just metal everywhere basically?
Well, I don't know. I'll let Sam go first, maybe.
Oh, you can go if you want. I talked my ass off for the last question.
I suppose. Well, I know. I think in Bristol, what I found is something that's maybe different for a start is the types of people, because in Wales you get very Welsh people. You know what I mean? But in Bristol you get maybe like a healthy mix of both, because it's for a start, it's a major city, and you might have people from Wales, you might have people from like just Bristol anyway, or just the surrounding areas of England, and so it's kind of a different scene in its own respect, I think.
I agree on that actually quite a bit. Now that you talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So obviously, Wales as a country basically has quite the legacy, I guess, when it comes to heavy metal bands. Love them or hate them, Skin Dread, Bullet My Valentine, two enormous bands in the scene coming from Wales. But do you feel that sort of heavy metal really is it prominent in your neck of the woods? Because I'm sure you know the Bristol scene is huge. Like everywhere you go in Bristol, there's metal all around. Is that is that felt in Wales, in where you're from specifically?
In places.
In places, yeah, like Cardiff specifically, definitely Cardiff.
Yeah. Newport a little bit too.
Yeah, we've played Swansea as well, but like
Swansea, I wouldn't say it doesn't
it's
have
not
as
a
big
huge
a
metal scene. No,
but not a huge one, I'd say.
And if you come up the valleys ways where we're from like non-existent metal scene. Doesn't exist in the valleys.
Yeah, there's not that much. There's like bits and bobs, but nothing really that big, So you do see some metal culture here, sort of going on, but not a great deal of it, I suppose. At least what I've come to experience.
Sure, fair enough. I live in a small town just outside of Reading. I lived in Bristol for several years. That's why I've got such a passion about the metal scene. But I live just outside Reading. No metal here at all. So it's
Yeah.
pretty depressing walking around in my Bathory shirt and everyone looks at me like I'm crazy. But
Mm.
so as I alluded to earlier, you've played Metal to the Masses before, albeit a different branch, but Metal to the Masses is still amazing. What was the experience like when you're part of a competition like this for such an important festival?
It's to be honest, it gives me anxiety about it. Like, thinking about like Metal to the Mass, I'm just thinking, man, what if something goes wrong? What if something goes on stage? But that's like every gig, you always have that sort of nagging voice at the back of your head that goes, man,
Yeah.
what if something goes wrong today? What if your guitar breaks in half? Like it could happen. But in terms of like atmosphere in Metal to the Masses, like I think it was 2019 we did Metal to the Masses in Cardiff, and I think it was like England v Wales in rugby or something. So all of everyone was out celebrating the fact that Wales had won, and everyone was incredibly drunk, and it was great. That was the one night where we actually had pretty close to a wall of death.
Yeah,
to our show, like the first one.
That was a wild gig. It was
That
funny.
was insane. Like the atmosphere and the people and energy in that one was incredible. And to be fair, like always with Metal to the Masses, people are really really interested in the music that goes on, and we've had some good shows with it. It's all really good stuff.
Yeah, it's a place where a lot of people will, more often than not come to support the local scene, like you don't like where people usually wouldn't. It's the one place where people more often than not will come to support local, acts.
Everyone loves a competition.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's also a great showcase, I think, for the local metal scene. Really, it's just a night where all the metalheads and some rock bands as well can just all gather and just celebrate all the dumb cliches of the genre, really, and have a great time. And then also celebrate the winner, moving on to an incredible opportunity, which is always great to experience. I don't know if you guys ever attended a final of Metal to the Masses, because when they announce that winner, it's a pretty incredible just energy in the room.
I think did we make it to this? I think we've only ever made it to the semi-final.
Yeah, I think we've only ever been to semis. The closest we've had to that was Byline Festival. It was a festival. It was basically to do with a lot of like very anti-Brexit and very anti, just anti a lot of like journalism and just generally a lot of the bad culture around journalism, politics, and stuff like that. And it had people like John Cleese and stuff. But they held a competition up at a quaint little pub called the Dragonfly up in Pontypridd.
No,
Pontypool.
Pontypool.
I always get the two mixed up. And that was that sort of like tension when you're waiting for the results to come in. Like it is something to, especially if you win it as well. You're gonna be fucking over the moon.
Yeah, but we have been in situations where even like when in the semi-finals they announce who's going on to the next round again. We've been in that situation and then obviously been a bit let down, which sucks. So we've had it on both ends.
Yeah, it's like it's still like it's still a great atmosphere either whether you win or lose. I just love taking part and having the thrill of playing shows and just being in a competition. It's fun.
Awesome. That's amazing. I mean, playing a show that puts you in the running for performing at the best festival in the country, I'll keep saying it. Can't really ask for much more than that, to be honest, which is why I'm curious, because I've perused your website, as I do. I try to do this job semi-properly. Aidan, I noticed on the website you were quoted as saying that you were slightly skeptical at the notion of forming a band. Can you recall as to why that was? I bet you're not skeptical anymore.
Oh no. I suppose at the time I was a bit skeptical, not necessarily at the idea of a band, but myself being in a band, because I felt that as a person I didn't have the aptitude or anything like that to even play a song from start to finish without falling over and getting a major injury. So it was one of those situations where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I have the commitment and the sort of, like I said, like the aptitude and all that stuff to really, kind of, be committed to it, I suppose. Yeah, but after a couple practices, I kind of got taste for the kind of atmosphere it can kind of come with, like, you know, the sort of camaraderie and the ideas and just sort of like that sort of mutual headspace kind of area where it's, I don't know, it's just nice, you know. So I just let into it more, and obviously here I am still. So
Yeah, fantastic. Great, you are still there because your guys' music is really, really cool. I've loved what I've heard so far, but we'll get on to that. Going on from that, should the Bristol final go ahead in whatever capacity and whenever it may happen, how are you guys feeling about that impending show? You hyped for it? You nervous? What thoughts are going through your head?
I'm quite nervous about it, honestly. It's like the first big show we've had since God December now. We did this thing called Immersed, which was set up by my university, actually, University of South Wales. It was just a bunch of people, like a collaboration between all the music departments and the art departments, the photography departments, video, whatever,
just the arts.
just the arts in general, yeah. And that was pretty cool, but it's not the most nerve-wracking when you know that all the people there are simply there to do their job and not necessarily to listen to how good you are. So that was a lot less stress on my shoulders when, like, you know, attending that gig, at least for me. However, you know, coming into Metal to the Masses again, where we're getting into shows with real live audiences that genuinely are judging you based on what you're playing, it is spooking me a little bit, but I think, you know, I'm still quite excited to play it.
Well, I mean, I think on that note, you know, whilst I have some reservations, thinking like, oh, you know, this could go wrong, and then maybe I'm a little anxious about like how the show would go. We've always had this weird thing where, I don't know, we've had all this shit, but we'll still pull together and get the show done, you know.
Yeah,
And
it's like
you know, there's never a time. Well, actually, there's been one or two times, but that's really specific circumstances. But there's never really been a time where we've not been able to get to a show. So I think that, you know, with this show, with Melt to the Masses, I think that performing it, we're going to be, you know, okay. I feel confident about it. Even though there are a lot of things I shouldn't be confident about, I think if I carry that confidence, it should at least boost the morale of the whole thing, and then, you know, make people play better, hopefully. Who knows?
Yeah, awesome. Can't wait to see it. But is there anything that you think you guys might bring that can give you a slight edge over the other bands, whatever that might be? No pressure. The other bands might be watching this. I'm interviewing a few of them. So, but yeah, any tricks up your sleeve? Anything that you think sets you guys apart?
Well, without blowing smoke up our own arse, I've always felt that we do kind of excel when it comes to energy. You know, like we see a lot of bands, especially ones that are just starting out, you know, quite nervous on stage. Or even seasoned bands. I've seen seasoned bands that have the stage show of a brick, you know, like it's weird. But I've always been the notion that stage shows are always about the performance and not necessarily about the music. You know, people like Rammstein get that with the pyrotechnics, and, you know, they're always quite high energy as well. So I feel that we bring that energy back as well. You know, we'd like to go ape shit on stage. We'd like to, you know, just
Joke around.
purge all the energy we've built up over time of not, you know, of just like all the shit of normal life and stuff like that, you know, and we just purge it all on stage. And I feel like that is one of our redeeming factors, at least.
And I think, you know, now that we have you know, like newer members and stuff in the band, that we can approach things differently, you know. And I mean, that Dylan Jarvis lad, who he's got a lot of energy.
He's too much energy even for me sometimes.
He's a lot of work, yeah, but he's great. Dylan being our new drummer, who's recently, I say recently, he joined sometime last year, but he's obviously one of the most recent members.
Yeah, fantastic. Can't wait to see it. You mentioned Rammstein already. Are there any other live bands that you draw inspiration from to get that optimum live show?
Like early Trivium up there for me, you know, like the earlier Trivium shows are just, the energy on stage is just brilliant. I love that stuff, you know. And they're always really, what I've always liked as well about them is they're always so tight on stage. I've only seen a few shows online where they've played really badly, and I think the only one that I've seen on video that is just absolutely bad is think they played like Hammersmith Apollo in 2008.
Yeah, the 2000. Yeah,
And they are just hammered out of their mind, it seems, because the drummer can't even keep a double kick going consistently. But Trivium, Slipknot, definitely.
yeah,
That
Slipknot.
live
I was gonna
show,
say Slipknot.
the energy they
Absolutely.
gave. Early Slipknot as well, definitely. Just like Iowa, just the anger and the raw energy of that music is just unparalleled. In my opinion, I don't think you can top it. I don't know about you, Wade. What do you?
I mean, well, I'd say
for?
similar. I mean, the same kind of stuff, but at the same time, I do kind of like the maybe more comedy-esque kind of side of things, like Steel Panther or whatever, being able to just make those dumb, stupid jokes on stage and kind of be a bit extra with things, like I kind of like that energy too. So maybe a good mix of both, that aggression and stuff, but also maybe a little bit over the top and flashy too.
Yeah, like
just to make it fun.
Metal is if you're an outsider to metal, metal just looks ridiculous with the over the top theatrics.
So just you might as well be
lean
ridiculous.
into it. You might as well lean into it.
For sure. So I look forward to seeing a mix between Slipknot and Steel Panther when I see you guys. And I'm asking everyone this, so I'm very interested to hear your answer. Have you checked out any of the bands in the final? Are there any you're eyeing up as your big competition?
Well, I've had a peek at some. Actually, I need to refresh on who was there because I haven't looked in a couple weeks myself. However, I do know that Alien Stash Tim were there, and I was looking at some of their stuff, and they are inspirational. I love what they're doing there. But
I'm actually familiar. What do they do?
They're kind of like stoner rock kind of stuff.
Okay.
But they're pretty cool. I like that how like they're like kind of goofy in a way, but not in a bad way. It's just kind of like I just love goofy shit. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah. Based on what I've heard of a lot of bands that are there this year, it seems that there's quite a lot of bands that are leaning onto a much more light-hearted tone. Like there's in Stash Chin, I know Land Captains definitely like to lean into a little bit of jovial spirit as well. So it sounds like it's going to be a really fun night when we finally get to it. So moving on to your guys' music. You guys have released a smattering of songs over the last few years. How would you go about describing your sound to a brand new listener?
Oh God, all over the place. Well, it's kind of like I kind of always split our music into a few different eras. You've got the first era, which is like the bass members, our first drummer, and our second singer. Yeah, second vocalist, which was Lewis.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was. Right. It was. We had a guy called Lewis Tenby with us for a long time. And,
well, he's in Equinox now.
Yeah, he's in Equinox now too. Really good band.
You may see.
So like that first, like 2017 us is like completely different from 2018 us, and then 2019, 2020 are also completely different with like a different drummer. And I think actually 2018 to 2020 was a different drummer, wasn't it? I think
possibly
something like that, but
it's hard to keep track.
However, what I will say is now the music we're writing currently, I'd say it's a toss-up between it's a
where
bit
we
new
were.
album, so it's got like it's like where we were, so like a bit new album, quite thrashy, but we're mixing in a lot. We've got 7-string stuff now, so we got lower tunings. It sounds a bit more new metal-y, I suppose.
Yeah, we got some new metal-y stuff in places. We're just trying to, I guess, expand what kind of sound that we have done, and just trying to play with some new stuff. And yeah, so like Sam said, it's a bit all over the place because whilst what you may hear of what we've got out at the moment, what we may eventually end up playing might not be anything like that. So
yeah, it's just a bit of a mixed bag. Not sure what to expect right now, but we'll see once we unveil some new stuff soon.
Awesome, really excited. So I checked out your latest single, Precious. I loved it. I think it's awesome. No problem. What kind of influences went into that track? Because I'm hearing a bit of Lamb of God, maybe a bit of New Age Megadeth, if that's not a controversial band to bring up at this point. Or am I way off with that? But
no, you're pretty on the mark, really. I mean, we like Lamb of God, Trivium, little like stuff like Machina, just like thrashier stuff like Metallica with that
Yeah.
whole like sort of like classic thrash feel, like sort of like Kill 'Em All era kind
Um,
of thing.
I know that when I was writing Precious, a lot of the guitar work, well, like I think, did you have did you have input in the guitar work for that song? Can't
Yeah, I did.
remember.
I did like all the middle eight stuff. Remember?
The middle eight. Oh yeah, I think yeah, you can get the middle eight and shit like that. Yeah.
And maybe the intro as well. I have no idea.
Maybe. All I know is that when I was
Been a long time.
writing like the initial riff and also the chorus, I was listening to a lot of Pantera and Megadeth. So that sort of grooviness came from Pantera, and then the technicalness probably came from Megadeth or something like that. And Lamb of God, as you said, like they've had a big influence on how I write riffs. Because before that, it was all like, hey, I'm gonna, play some power chords and some open E's, but then listen to Lamb of God, and all of a sudden you're going all over the fretboard with random notes. It's great.
Plus,
So,
vocally, I kind of draw some inspiration from Randy Bly as well in places.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a metal band this side of the 2000s that isn't in some way inspired by Lamb of God to some degree.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Really. So that and Pantera, obviously, kind of the genesis to modern metal, as it were. I was desperate to get to my next question. I noticed on your website that the song is inspired by Lord of the Rings. I'm a massive fantasy fan. Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy ever made, book or movie, doesn't matter. I'm currently reading The Wheel of Time, loving it. But anyway, I can hazard a guess, given the name, whom that song is about. Did you maybe want to elaborate how the song ties into Lord of the Rings?
Well, that's a question you may have to ask Lewis Temby from Equinox, because originally he wrote the lyrics and he's very specific with his lyrics.
For example, his favorite one was always if we played Burning Through, he'd go, "Yeah, this was a song about this is a song I wrote about a really bad doob I rolled once." And so he opened the song every time he'd go, "This is about a really bad doob I rolled once." It's called Burning Through.
From what I take from it personally is that, whilst obviously within the Lord of the Rings, it's the song's kind of like a metaphor for how the ring would, how it takes control of Gollum. We all have that kind of thing that takes over us, and and
it just, yeah, it's like it's kind of like an addiction in a way. It's like addiction, or maybe I think probably closer for Precious is maybe
obsession.
Yeah, addiction, or you could put it to like oppressors, political oppressors, or just general oppressors, whether you're in a very oppressed country where, I don't know, for example, actually I don't know any countries that I could think of that are incredibly oppressed. Maybe just
I don't know,
somewhere with wars at the moment,
Israel.
But I don't really want to. I don't really want to touch upon it. It's very
political satire.
touchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably just anything that sort of can bog you down and press you or addict you. Anything that just messes you up. Basically, I think that's generally what the song's about. You can make your own meaning about it. Lou probably has his own meaning as well, like an official one, but that's up to him whether he wants to share that.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, Lord of the Rings, metal, it just goes hand in hand, really. Blind Guardian and Wind Rose are an absolute testament to that. I can tell based on the posters in the background there that you're obviously no stranger to cool things, let's go with. The things that are forever interesting. Is combining these interests, such as science fiction, fantasy, something you intend to continue doing going forward past Precious?
We've already been in the process. We're currently finishing a song that is written around Halo, which is cool.
Nice.
So that's really interesting. Kind of, because we thought, bands like what they called the band. What are they called? Shadow of Intent. That's what they're called. Shadow of Intent.
Oh yeah.
They do loads of Halo stuff, so we're thinking like, why the hell not? We should do something Halo because we love Halo. And yeah, so it was really. I've had really a lot of fun writing it anyway. So yeah, that's something. And plus, I think we've also got a lot of other things that we've talked about writing about like sci-fi related things. I think we have a Dark Souls song that we need to take off the back burner at
Oh
some
man,
point.
yeah, that
That's-
has been in works for ages. And like,
sounds very cool though.
mm,
So we have a lot of cool stuff like that, you know, but we also like to give our songs a little bit of a double meaning for those who may not be that interested in the sci-fi, you know.
Sure, it's like when you listen to metal that's inspired by fantasy and sci-fi, it's normally quite hard to find that thing outside of the power metal genre.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah.
don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I adore power metal, but that is, the fantasy is very much in the forefront. So there's putting it into sort of a more traditional groove kind of metal thing. Does it make the fantasy? I'm trying to think how to word this question, but I guess it's kind of what you said. It's like that if you're not into the fantasy, if you're not into Lord of the Rings, you've still got some groovy as fuck heavy metal really
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
enjoy, if that makes any sense at all.
And something you can kind of give your own meaning, you know, something like, you know, maybe hear a lyric or see something, you can give it your own meaning, be like, you know, maybe I don't entirely gel with what this song was written about, but this is what it means to me, you know?
yeah, that's one of the main things you got to sort of focus on when it comes to like, if you're writing in a very contemporary style where you're going to be making like maybe a political statement in your metal song, or whatever, in your metal song with your lyrics or your music or but when it comes to like when it comes to writing stuff like that with the fantasy elements and the sci-fi elements and pop culture references in there, you have to balance it between full pop culture and actual meaning, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
you have the actual meaning of the song, and then you have all the pop culture references to keep maybe people who might actually be into that sort of thing engaged. And as Aiden said, good riffs, good fucking music, and that's what we are.
Yes, sort of outside fantasy and sci-fi, where else do you draw inspiration from when it comes to finding intent for songs or meanings behind songs?
Ooh. Aid, what about you? You write all lyrics.
Well, yeah, I suppose, I mean, whilst we haven't very much, obviously I've only started writing lyrics for our songs recently, but in the past, I've written little bits of lyrics and things, and I think like what I'd like to write songs about, like, obviously fancy sci-fi, just like shit that I'm into, but then also maybe things like not necessarily personal issues, but like personal issues that can be experienced by anybody,
Sure.
things that people could relate to, like, but things I've experienced, but things I know other people experience too. So
yeah,
to give people that sort of like, hey man, I get it, sort of that sort of thing, because that can go a long way with certain people, and that can kind of make the music a bit more, I guess, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I guess more personal and meaningful in a way,
Yeah.
Not that music has to be meaningful, but it stuff like that can help.
Yeah, but
sure.
I mean, I think we've also wrote stuff about like generally. I think I've wrote down some lyrics every now and again in my phone. I haven't used it yet, but anything that might be going on in the world, social, political issues, or personal issues, or maybe it's something I just randomly saw on the internet. I thought, man, that was fucking stupid. I'm gonna write a song about that.
Yeah. So basically, it's either, hey man, I get it, or hey man, you need to get this.
Yeah, essentially.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Because I'm always interested in those kind of answers, because I'm shit at like writing lyrics. Like, cannot write lyrics to save my life. Yeah, they're borderline Attila bad. Let's just put it that way. So as you have alluded to a couple of times already, the band has been going since is it 2017? Is that correct?
It's 2016, 17, yeah.
Yeah, 2015, 16, 17,
Sure.
something like that.
15, we sort of like, we're just in that practicing, like in the womb phase, as you were. But then we started gigging and releasing songs more in 2016. So that's when we became a band.
Okay,
essentially.
Cool. So in that relatively short lifespan, I know you've had a couple lineup shakeups. I'm not going to ask about the circumstances of members coming and going. That's not my place. But what I do want to know is, how does a young band deal with that kind of shakeup to the structure?
Well, I mean, when it comes to like say a member leaves and we have to get a new member, we generally just like, I guess we probably deal with it most likely just other bands, like whether they a larger band or a smaller band. However, larger bands probably focus more on like generally just how well they can play, and not necessarily all the time how well they gel with the band. However, I have known certain bands that specifically look for members that gel well with the band as well. And we go down that route 100%. If we feel like we don't really gel with you, or we can't have a conversation, just click,
Yeah.
we're not really that interested in having you in the band, no matter how good of a drummer you are, or like how good of a member you are. I don't know why I went instantly for drummer, but first
Like,
in my head.
when you go to somewhere and you're doing something with somebody that has to be done, but you don't like doing it, that's work. That's what you do at work.
Sure.
That's not what you want to do with people writing music. You want to be having a good time, and you want to, because if you're not there, if your head's not in it to write music together, then you're not really writing music together. You might as well be doing solo careers. You know what I mean?
And I found that, like, if I'm closer with someone, like say I'm actually a good friend with someone, I write infinitely better music, so I can just bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
And like with previous members in the past, we've had where we don't really feel like we gel that well with them. We like them as a person. Like, generally, we can tell they're good people, they're good natured, they have good intentions and stuff like that, and they might be even a good musician in general. However, they just don't really like click with us that well, and it kind of feels
there's just
like
something not turning the same.
It's almost like conversations feel like a hostage situation.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it was like a year or so ago, I was speaking to a member of the band Elvati, who have obviously, they had a massive lineup shift. They changed their vocals and everything. And they mentioned that when you lose a vocalist, especially, I say this as a guitarist, even I can appreciate this, losing a vocalist, that's a big deal, because that's a massive change for the band. Yeah. Did you guys, losing and changing the vocals, was that a big sort of hurdle and decision that you guys had to make, like more so than any other kind of lineup shift?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, like, because for the longest time, Lewis was our vocalist. But then obviously after he left, we was a bit on the fence of what we were going to do. Lewis said to me, I remember Lewis saying to me personally, you should do the vocals in Excursia. And I was like, it's not really my thing, So we was on the hunt for another vocalist. We ended up with a vocalist named Gareth, and he was with us for a couple of months, but some things, like we said, don't click, and some things went wrong. So we, had to, remove him from the band.
That was the first time we've had to do that, though.
Yeah, like we've never really had to do that before. But yeah, then we were like, do we really want to have to change vocalists again and all that stuff? And so we eventually decided maybe we should try vocals with me, and we all kind of got on with it. And
it was weird. It was like we got back from the gig that we were doing the night before, which had the whole thing going wrong, and we didn't end up playing that night. I won't go into specifics, obviously, it's very messy. But we got back at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And after a huge talk between us, we were just like, screw this. I'm not having another vocalist because because I don't want to have to deal with another person in the band. We know the 4 of us work. So let's just go with the 4 of us, and let's just go and see what happens. And we played a few gigs with Aid and the vocals, and it wasn't like, for the first few ones, it was a little bit shaky. But
yeah, it was a bit rough, but it worked.
But it worked, and we kept working on it, and we're pretty happy with how it is now. So
yeah, we're fleshing it out more and more as time goes on. So
awesome, that's brilliant to hear. Is it challenging going back to songs when you had different members of the band?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, kind of having to, it was weird because obviously I wasn't much of I guess, like, I'm saying a lot of nothing right now. I didn't really know how to play and sing is what I'm trying to say. So it was a bit of a weird thing because it's like I'm playing these songs and I've got to do somebody else's lyrics in a way that they thought worked. Like, because I'm thinking, what if I wrote this song? Maybe I never would have done the vocals like that. if in the first place. So
Sure.
it's kind of weird doing somebody else's vocals, I suppose, in a way. Not necessarily somebody else's vocals, but somebody else's song. But because it's not done in the way that I would have done it, maybe.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I'm sure though it's all working out brilliantly, and you guys can't wait to get back on that stage again to
Oh yeah,
show off what you've been
absolutely.
working on. Given that your last single was in 2020, any chance of some new music on the horizon?
Yeah, possibly.
Well, we do have like a recorded song still on the back burner that we've yet to release.
Yeah, like it's fully ready to release. We just need to do a little few things,
like promotional
yeah,
stuff and
promotional
Awesome.
crap.
other things.
Yeah.
But we've also got like some new songs we're working on, funnily enough, specifically for Metal to the Masses. Well, I say specifically for, we're gonna showcase them at Metal to the Masses first.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, those will probably be recorded at some point. When I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and focus on getting a lot of music together. Maybe the current lineup, I think what we're planning on doing is just making a bunch of music in the style that we're currently having and just releasing a full length, maybe next year or this year, who knows, depending on when we
awesome.
record it. But see how it goes,
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. And of course, the $1 million question, which I want to ask before we get into our fun, quick-hearted outro, is what would it mean to you guys if you got to play Bloodstock?
It would mean a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bloodstock, for God's sake, and
Yeah,
the lineup this year is like, if I was to
Pretty
play
spicy.
on the same lineup, just anywhere on the board, I don't care, from right at the bottom in tiny little italics and gray letters that blend into the background. I would love to be able to play a venue like that, a festival like that with like Devin Townsend, Anthrax.
I don't think Anthrax is there. I know that
think
Judas Priest is.
Judas Priest are playing. Anthrax was last year.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's
Skid
been
Red are
quite a
there.
lot of Skin Red are currently there. There's been a lot of shake-ups to the lineup for obvious reasons, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
It's just like, but it's Bloodstock. I would, it would mean the world to me, being able to just play something of that caliber. No matter where I am on the lineup, I just want to play it. It'd be great.
I would just love to play a festival that Skindred is also playing, so I could message Benji and ask him for a lift.
Going the same
He
way.
lives down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's only down the road. It's like, hey, I'm going your way. Come on.
Yeah, just bring me along, bro. Come on.
I'm sure he'll cram into the tour bus. It'll be no big deal. Have you guys ever attended Bloodstock before, even as just like audience members?
No, I've never.
I haven't.
I've wanted to. In fact, I was hoping to. I might go next year, if not, because I can't go this year, but I'd love to go next year because I don't like the download lineup at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Bloodstock's my second home, so I would highly recommend it. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. I was supposed to go last year, as you can imagine. Hopefully this year should be better, but it's not a summer without a weekend at Bloodstock in this household. So yeah, awesome. So what I'd like to do to round off these interviews, this is only the third interview I've ever done, so I'm trying to make it a thing, with an idea I definitely did not steal from Empiricon's 25 questions series. This is Crushing Sounds various questions. It won't be 25, don't worry. So yeah, they're just quick fire, light-hearted questions. You can debate these, you can spend as long or as short as you like. So yeah, we'll get straight into the first one.
Cool.
Who is better, Metallica or Slayer?
Metallica.
Easy.
Just no thoughts.
I'm surprised I've not had many debates on that one. My brother would argue Slayer for sure. Maybe it's because Metallica's latter half of the career is, but
it is.
I mean,
but then
I have a soft spot for Metallica. My childhood
same
band.
Yeah.
First metal band, pretty much.
I love Slayer, but I do like Metallica more.
Fair enough. Can't ask for more than that. This is one for the guitarists: tapping versus sweet picking.
Tapping.
Sweet picking is a little bit. It doesn't. I feel like it doesn't have as much versatility as tapping. Tapping can be really cool.
Sweeping is very, very cool, and if you
and
can
flashy.
do it technical, it's very flat. I don't know. Like, it has its place, but I just prefer tapping. I think it's cooler.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to sweep picking, sweep picking can be great if you're just sort of like using it in the middle of a phrase and not necessarily doing an entire sweep pick arpeggio bullshit. Like Yngwie Malmsteen did that 30 years ago. I don't give a shit about sweeps. I want to hear my guitar just, make chug and make, high pitched noise that sounds good. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Tapping.
Yeah, sure.
Tapping, yeah.
Extreme metal or traditional metal?
Ooh.
What are we considering extreme metal here?
Yeah. Okay.
Death metal, black metal, grindcore, that kind of thing.
I'm gonna go classic, but
I'll go classic, but
I've listened to a lot of extreme metal recently. Quite a lot of deathcore, if you can consider that extreme. Some people will consider it to be like death metal without any oomph to it, but I personally love deathcore. I think it's great. People bands like Fit for an Autopsy, stuff like that. But classic metal, there's just way too many bands that I love in the classic metal genre that I just
that's true. Yeah, I suppose.
I can't go against that sort of roots thing at the moment.
I don't know. I mean, would melodic death metal come under extreme?
Yeah, I would say so.
That makes it even harder.
That throws a spanner in the works.
That's like trivium included now.
Yeah,
which is a problem.
I'd like a healthy mix of both. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
Sure.
that works for me.
We'll go for the easy answer. So, horror movies or action movies?
Action movies, straight up.
Yeah.
Although,
depends on the horror. Psychological horror is cool.
Yeah, but I've always preferred like horror games to horror movies.
Yeah.
I prefer to be, I prefer to be in control of my own scares. I don't like to be a vessel for scaring. It's just kind of boring to me. I much prefer to be a bit of interactive in there. Like even if it's something like PT, where it's just walking down a hallway. At least I get to control how fast I go through it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm with that.
Sure. Going off that, favorite movie?
Cornetto trilogy's up there, but that's not one movie.
Yeah.
We can lump trilogies in there.
Yeah, they're all kind of part of the same universe.
Trilogy's up there.
Yeah, that's definitely up there for sure. I mean, Baby Driver is also great.
Yeah, just anything by what's his name?
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright. I can remember his name for a second. Yeah, just anything by that guy. He's a genius. Love his directing style. Love his writing, especially with his Nick Frost and Simon Pegg stuff. Like the stuff they wrote is just second to none. Some of the best comedy you can watch. It is brilliantly written. Best thing you can watch.
even though it's great comedy, it's also, I think, done well into the genres that they go for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the buddy cop genre, the horror survival.
Yeah, like they are perfect
genre.
parodies. Like they get every single trope and cliche.
Right, while also making it incredibly funny. So it's not like a scary movie where they've got horror trope. It's funny. You better laugh now. It's actual, smart writing. It works with the cliches, and it doesn't feel cheesy. Yet it's very funny at the same time.
Yeah,
it's quite hard
absolutely.
for a lot of like parody films to get right. So I'm gonna go with Cornetto trilogy. Final answer.
Yeah. Same. I could, yeah. I mean, if you give me like maybe a dedicated hour, I could probably come up with another film that I love. But right now, I'm drawing a huge blank of every movie I've ever watched. But I'll go hands down with Cornetto trilogy because that is up there for me too.
Sure. Another nerdy question here. This is more one that, depending on your answer, I might get irritated as well. But it's Song of Ice and Fire or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings.
I don't think I've ever watched the other one you mentioned.
No, it's Game of Thrones.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm one of those snobs who refer to it as the proper title.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I worked that out. I just know a lot of shit about that stuff. But yeah, no, definitely Lord of the Rings.
I've watched bits of Game of Thrones. However, I've never watched it all the way through. And all I know is that everyone hates the ending.
Don't watch it all the way through. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that. People raging about it on God knows how many different places the internet, every corner of the
every
internet.
crevice.
But yeah, I watched Lord of the Rings. Believe it or not, I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time last October with my roommate. We watched all 3 movies, and yeah, just hands down Lord of the Rings. It is so satisfying to watch.
Was it the extended edition or the standard?
Whatever one was listed on Now TV.
Not
sure if that's the extended one or it's probably the standard.
Probably standard. If you want to dedicate 12 hours and watch the extended, it is the definitive way to watch it.
I did that once. One time we got the extended editions of all the Hobbit movies and all the Lord of the Rings movies, and just dedicated a day of just watching those movies all day. It was awesome.
God damn, that must be near about 24 hours. I would have
Yep,
thought.
yep. It was
Yeah.
like a whole
Jesus
day.
Who'd you do that with then?
It was like me and like Morgan and stuff.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair
It
point.
was ages ago. Ages ago.
Yeah, me and my brother keep tossing that idea around, but I don't like the Hobbit movies at all.
Yeah,
So-
they're not the greatest, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially Battle of the Five Armies was a bit lame.
oh my
Gorgeous to
God.
look at. Amazing to look at. You know, a
No,
masterpiece
Yeah.
of
There's a
cinema
lot of
design.
CGI, too much dated CGI by
Yeah, I
even
think too
today's
much
standards.
CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too much.
Yeah, Lord of the
Um,
Rings was all prosthetics that still hold up to this
yeah,
day.
yeah,
definitely.
I
So-
could talk about Lord of the Rings for
Oh,
days. So, oh God,
it's a good movie. Great
yeah, it's a
movies.
fantastic trilogy, fantastic book as well. And final question: favorite
Mhm.
Excursia song?
Good question.
Honestly, I think favorite Excursion song live nowadays is for me Burning Through.
Burning Through is fun to play live.
Burning Through is really fun live nowadays. I don't know if it's maybe my favorite to listen to, but that's only because we only have like a really old version that I don't think rings true to how I hear it nowadays. But I think when we eventually record it, I think Burning Through still might be one of my favorites because it's just got like that
awesome.
high octane kind of like I really like the energy and the pacing of it, you know.
Yeah. Personally, if we're talking like favorite song that I've wrote favorite song that we've wrote simply because of like maybe it has personal significance to me, I personally love even though we don't play it much, actually we don't ever play it because it's the only one with clean vocals we have, is Pleonexia. And I specifically like that song because it's just different from the rest of our stuff. It's a clean ballad type thing, and honestly it's probably got my favorite solo in there simply because I wrote it specifically as a like a homage to Dime and stuff like that. You know, I took all the Dime bag tricks out of the book and put it into my style a little bit, and just, you know, came up with a homage to this type of writing that he did because he's my favorite guitarist, always will be, even if I don't listen to Pantera that much. But however, favorite song overall, maybe Hog, maybe Precious, maybe Burning Through.
You'll probably have to specify that Hog is Hand of God.
Hand of God, yeah, sorry. Hog, Hand of God. We just call it Hog around here because it's easier.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm sure it'll anger a few people, but who cares?
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, that's what the metal's about, you know, pissing people off.
Absolutely. Piss as many people as you can. If you're not, you're doing something wrong. So, yeah, fantastic. So, thanks again, guys, so much for meeting with me. Whether or not Melt to the Masses goes ahead or not, I'm sure I'll catch you guys tearing up the Southwest metal scene at some point in the near future.
I'm sure.
Hope everything goes well for you guys going forward. Thanks again so much. This has been awesome.
No worries at all. It's been good to be here as well.
It's been great here.
Cool. Thanks again, guys.